We will now begin the January 8th, 2026 pre-meeting for the Planning and Zoning Commission. Do we have someone to go over the agenda this evening?
Good evening, everyone. All right. Old business items 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D. The applicant is requesting that these items remain tabled. This is the last time that they can be tabled. So next month we'll either have to bring it forward for action or withdraw the item. So we will see what they decide to do for next month. Next, new business item 1A. This is a request for a site plan for Veritas Christian Academy at 1145 Tom Ginnever Avenue. They're proposing to build a new weight room directly off of the athletic track. The proposed building is approximately 2,300 square feet, and it will contain a workout area, an office, and restroom. Staff is recommending approval of this site. Here is the plan. You can see this is the existing track. Right around here is where they are wanting to build this building. Here's the floor plan. They'll have some overhead garage doors, and then the athletic track is off of this side here. And then just some elevations. Any questions on this?
Anyone have any questions? All right, I'd say let's go on to the next item.
Okay. Next is new business item 2A. This is a request for an extension of site plan approval for the Starbucks at 609 South Main Street. This is the empty Burger King. In February of last year, they were approved for a site plan to renovate the building, reconfigure the parking lot and the drive-through a little bit. Shortly after that, they decided they were not going to do that. Since then, they are now deciding they want to move forward. This plan would expire next month, so they are requesting the 1-year extension. Like I said, this is the former Burger King, but they're going to renovate the building and make some changes to the parking lot drive-through. We do want to add condition number 5. This was added at the last meeting, just didn't get captured on our report. The northeast access point onto Marine Lane shall be modified to restrict this to an exit only. Other than that, staff is recommending approval of the extension. Here is the site plan. This is kind of the reworked entrance and drive-through. This will be a do not enter, and then this will also be a do not enter. So, and then here is what the building will look like. Any questions on this one?
Doesn't look like there's any questions, so let's go on to the next item.
Okay. Next, new business items 3A and 3B. This is a request for a conditional use permit for the sale of alcohol for Yummy Bowl at 1365 Highway K. This is the old Cappuccinos right by Walmart. They are proposing to open a restaurant with sushi, stir fry, bowls, desserts, and they will serve alcoholic drinks, wines, domestic and imported beers, sake. Hours of operation are Sunday through Thursday, 11 to 9, and Friday and Saturday, 11 to 10. Staff is recommending approval of this conditional use permit with our standard conditions, plus a condition to provide a fats, oils, grease survey with the building permits. Any questions on this one?
It doesn't look like it. Let's go on to the next item.
All right. 4A and 4B is a request for a conditional use permit for equipment rental for Postal Capital at 1120 Technology Drive, Suite 113B. Postal Capital is a business that offers shipping and mail services. Sorry, they provide shipping and mail services, notary services, and they're now wanting to add on U-Haul rental services. Staff did have some concerns with the parking and maneuverability of the site for larger box trucks. So staff is proposing to limit them to 3 cargo vans, which they have said they're fine with. No box trucks will be allowed on the site there, rented out by them. In addition, staff would like the vans to be parked in the rear of the building, and I've got an exhibit of that I can show. We are recommending approval of this conditional use permit with our standard conditions, and then those conditions that they be limited to the 3 cargo vans, and they are all parked in the rear of the building. And here is the exhibit. They are located on this front side, right about here, and then just kind of in between the building here is where we would like those parked, so they're not, all out front like a billboard for U-Haul. So, any questions on this?
Yeah, Commissioner.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi.
So will those 3 vans, will they have their own assigned spots? Because there's a bunch of parking back there.
I think that would be up to them if they want to assign spots for them, or maybe up to the landlord that owns the building if they want to designate spots for them. But yeah, we'd be fine if they're back here, or even just kind of on these side spots here, just not taking up the main parking spots along the front edges of the buildings where customers for other businesses would be parking. So.
All right, let's go on to the next item.
Okay. Just in time, Mayor. New business items 5A and 5B. This is a request for a preliminary plat for property on the north and south sides of Highway DD near Deer Road. This project, Villages at Bush Wildlife, was originally recommended for denial by the Planning and Zoning Commission in 2024, but was ultimately approved by the City Council. Their rezoning of this property is still valid, so we're just talking about the preliminary plat tonight. This property, since it was approved, has been involved in a lawsuit, and during that time, these plans have expired. They're now coming back requesting reapproval of the plan so that they are ready to move forward when the lawsuit gets resolved. There are no changes on this plan from the original version, besides updating proposed zoning to say existing zoning. So just a reminder, this is 239 lots on 162.2 acres across 3 different villages. And staff is recommending approval of the plat with the same conditions from 2024. Here are 2 of the villages, one on the north side, one on the south side of DD, and another one. This is on the south side of DD, just had to be rotated on the plan. And then here's what those 3 villages kind of look like on one map. So, any questions on this item?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
do you have any just general information kind of on what the status of that lawsuit is? Is it nearing conclusion? Is it going to wrap up in, weeks, months?
That is a good question. We have not heard any updates on it. But with the applicant bringing it back, I would assume that means they're closing in on some sort of resolution. So this reapproval would still only be for the 1 year as the last one was. So when they first brought it to us for reapproval, we asked that question and kind of the same answer. So they're aware that it's only for a year, and if it takes longer than that, they'd need to come back again. So yeah, as far as any updates, we do not really have any.
All right, thank you. And then I think on that diagram there, is that traffic circle, Lake St. Louis and Double D? I'm sorry, Dyer Road and Double D?
Yeah, this portion, this Dyer Road, this is extension that I don't believe was funded this last go around. So that's kind of up in the air still. So we'll see what happens with that. But I believe the intention is to have all of those connections there. So
There was no contingencies on this plan being approved with the extension being installed. Okay,
Nope.
Thank you.
Commissioner Seymour?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you refresh our memory as to why this was not approved?
I don't have the findings of denial in front of me. We can pull that up and we can.
Yeah, I'd like to know that.
Yeah.
And you said nothing's been changed since the last time they were here and we denied it.
Right.
So why are they back?
Well, it was approved by city council after the recommendation of denial here. City council approved it. Since that final approval, it has expired because it's been tied up in this lawsuit. So now they're requesting reapproval of it. So this will
Well, they need to go to city council to get reapproval, not planning and zoning.
well, it has to go through planning and zoning, then to city council. It follows the same process as before.
That makes no sense at all.
It's the same process that they did in
So
2020.
we're obligated to deny it again so it can go to city council to be approved. Is that what you're saying?
No, you don't have to
I think
deny it again.
council would like to speak right now.
Thank you, Mayor. Pardon me for interrupting. I'm not Stephanie Carr, whatever the subject. And I'm the city attorney for Oklahoma. When this matter was last before the commission, it was both plat approval and rezoning. The plat approval was recommended against, I'm sorry.
I apologize. The commission recommended against plat approval and against the rezoning. The matter went to the city council. The council approved the rezoning and approved the plat. The plat approval has expired. The rezoning has not. That does not expire. So now the difference is that the plat is before you in conformity with the existing zoning.
Okay, what was the last zoning that, what were they asking for that we denied? Were they asking for R1, R3, combination of both,
I'll defer to
R1?
This property is currently zoned R3. It was unincorporated before. So it was going from unincorporated to R3. Since it was approved, it's now fully zoned R3.
Okay, so it meets the zoning code, so we have no reason to not approve it according to the zoning code.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
I
Thank you
I
for
might
that
add also,
clarification.
in response to the other question, that the litigation is in pretrial discovery status.
It's not against us though, right?
Yes, sir, it is. The city is a party defendant to the case.
No, I mean us.
Not
Planning and
yet.
Zoning Commission.
You have not yet been named individually or as the commission. but-
Thank you very much.
Any other questions regarding this item on the agenda? All right, let's go on to the next item.
Okay. Next is new business items 6A, B, C, D, and E. This is a request for a rezoning from R1 to CO within the downtown overlay, the conditional use permit for dwellings in a non-residentially zoned structure, a preliminary plat for 17 lots, and a site plan for a parking lot at 507 Sondren Street. This is Stevenson Place. This came before us and went to City Council where they withdrew it. They're now coming back with a little bit different version. They're still proposing to build 2 8-unit townhome buildings. Before, they would have been required to put in a public street, which is required for residentially zoned units. Because they did not have access to that street, for sale units could not be zoned residential with a private drive aisle. So they are proposing to rezone it to CO, which is commercial zoning, and then applying for a conditional use permit to allow for the residential in the commercial zoning. This way they can have a private drive aisle and still have these units be for sale. So that is the rezoning and the conditional use permit. They are requesting approval of the preliminary plat for 17 lots. 16 of those lots are the individual for sale townhome lots, and then 1 common ground lot with all of the parking, the private drive aisle, mail kiosk, and the detention basin, basically everything else. Because the proposed private drive aisle from Sondren Street will impact the parking for the existing business at 409 Sondren, they are requesting approval of a site plan for a parking lot with 12 spaces that will serve that existing business. Staff is recommending approval of the rezoning with no conditions, approval of the conditional use permit with the standard conditions, and approval of the preliminary plat. With some of these conditions, provide information on the fill and provide a geotechnical study. We still have that big, long comment that Stephanie came up with last time regarding all of the unpermitted fill and needing a geotechnical study and any remedial action to remediate anything that might be done wrong with that. Revise the buffer yard calculations to accurately reflect the required number of trees, and then a fence is also required. Direct the basin discharge, away from adjoining backyards. Discharge needs to be angled to the west into the ditch area, and then the retaining wall material shall comply with residential standards. And finally, we are recommending approval of the site plan for the parking lot with some of the following conditions. Provide a photometric plan, provide existing access easement from 409 Sonderen, or work with the property owner to create new legal permanent access. I believe that's what they're doing right now, is creating a new access easement to get to the back. And then clarify what will happen to the area where the existing parking spaces are to be removed. So this is the rezoning exhibit. Sonderen Street's out here, and then this property behind all these businesses is where this is going. This is what the plan looks like. So here's that parking lot that'll serve this business here, and then it comes around with parking off of this drive aisle here and in here, and then the townhome units on either side. Here's a closer look at that. I did have to rotate it, but you can see a little bit closer view of what that is going to look like. And then this is the elevations of what these will look like. That's the rear of the building. And then this is that parking lot. So any questions on this item?
Yes, Commissioner Nannery?
So what you're saying is they still haven't answered the fill question,
They still have not.
and they haven't said why they haven't answered that question?
We haven't gotten any of that information.
Well, isn't this a little bit putting the cart before the horse?
Yeah, I would agree, but I think we are covered by that comment that was written by Stephanie, which is on this as well. They'll need to address that before they can start construction of anything. So.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Seymour?
So let me make sure I understand this. They still have not or do not have a drive aisle with this property. Looks to me like it's like they've got a giant shoehorn that they're putting this in with.
Yeah, there's not a legal access agreement that we know of. We've asked for that. They haven't been able to locate anything. So they are working with the property owner out front to get that, which is part of what this parking lot here, rearranging that and kind of moving some of their existing parking. So it's in the works. Nothing's been finalized.
So the check's in the mail then.
In theory, yeah.
I have a real problem approving anything with the check in the mail, and then part of that issue is when there is a access to this property, who owns it and who maintains it?
That would be covered in the access agreement, the easement agreement. So, yeah, that's all to be determined. Once we see some of that documentation, we'll know, but right now we don't.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner?
So is the zoning that they're doing just kind of a way to get around potentially that street? Is that really what this is about?
Yeah, it allows them to do a private street, a private drive aisle instead of a public street. They'll be maintaining that portion. As far as the portion on this other property, that's going to be covered by that easement agreement, like we said, but all of the street all of this here is going to be maintained by them as a private, drive aisle.
Okay. How did they come up with the 12 spots? Like, was that somewhat arbitrary, or was there like some sort of model
For
they
the parking lot up here. I don't know how they came up with that. It more than covers what they're taking out and provides the business with a couple extra. So it's probably just the amount that they could fit there with a fairly standard design. So the applicant might be able to explain why it's 12 or if there was a reason for that. But yeah.
All right. Let's go on. If is that the last item on the agenda?
We do have the PUD discussion. Do we want to go over some of those comments that staff had now, or do we do it now? Okay. So 7A is the PUD discussion for Cabello Farms. This is located just to the west of Harvest. It's connecting to the Deer Road stub that was part of Harvest and another stub street within Harvest. It's plan as a concept, so these comments are limited. The plan is for 276 homes, and they're requesting R1 PUD zoning. They did provide some explanation for why they're requesting the PUD that was in the packet. One of our main comments is that they need to extend Deer Road all the way out. And then we'd like them to provide a stub somewhere along Deer Road to the north. There is a subdivision in review by the county that has a road kind of lined up with Perry Kate going through there and stubbing. Eventually we'll stub to this property, so we would like them to provide a stub to connect to that. And then all perimeter lots shall have the standard rear yard setback. That's a PUD requirement. Here is their plan. This is Deer Road here. They're currently showing it stopping right here. We'd like it to come all the way down so that headache in the future when further west develops. We'd like that to be there now so that it's done. And then, like I said, we would like a stub to the north somewhere along here. So yeah, any questions on this? Okay, and just a reminder, this is just a discussion. There's no action on this tonight. So just a reminder on that.
All right. Thank you.
All right, and that is all we've got.
All right. Well, we will close the pre-meeting and we will have the regular meeting at 7 o'clock. We will now begin the January 8th, 2026 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Spencer, are you doing the roll call?
I sure am. Chairperson Thomas,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Nunnery,
Present.
Mayor Hennessy,
Present.
Councilman Cascella,
Present.
Commissioner Howard,
Present.
Commissioner Seymour,
Present.
Commissioner Nager,
Present.
Commissioner Baust,
Present.
Commissioner Heath,
Present.
Commissioner Link,
Present.
Commissioner Eggmeyer,
Present.
Commissioner Holting,
Present.
Commissioner Hawbaker.
Present.
Mayor, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members of the commission, you have in front of you this evening the agenda for this evening's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved, Nunnery.
Second, Charlie Nager.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for the January 8th, 2026 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Members of the commission, cast your votes. All right, the agenda for this evening's meeting has been approved. At this point in the meeting, we open it up to citizens' comments. For those that have completed a comment card, we have one person who has completed a comment card, and that's Mr. Arnie Dienoff.
Good evening, members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. I wanted to wish everybody a happy new year. Just going through the agenda, I will be testifying at all the public hearings. There's some pretty important business that's on the agenda tonight that really needs to have an in-depth discussion and not a rubber stamp, puppet on a string type vote. Between D and E on the agenda is missing meeting minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission. You're the only Planning and Zoning Commission in the entire nation that does not approve meeting minutes in a transparent fashion, which is an indefinite violation of Chapter 89 of the Revised State Statutes of Missouri governing Planning and Zoning Commission meetings. And for some reason, you just gloss over it, and it's just a shame that the citizens can't even find your minutes on the Planning and Zoning Division website, on the Planning and Zoning Commission, or anywhere on the website do your meeting minutes appear. And that's just really concerning. And I think the Attorney General of the state, the county prosecutor, and the state auditor need to look into why you're violating Chapter 89 of the Revised State Statutes of Missouri. The next issue I'd like to talk about is the Christian Academy. They're asking for a building addition. I have no opposition to that. The 609 South Main Street Starbucks, for some reason, they're asking for an extension site approval time for that restaurant and drive-through to be converted to a Starbucks. My understanding is that they've abandoned this issue, and the economy is kind of changing and going in a different direction, and they're no longer going to be putting a Starbucks because there's too much competition at this neighborhood in this area. The next issue that I would like to talk about is the U-Haul. Actually, that's a public hearing for the U-Haul. I'll be talking at that public hearing. Let's see what else does not have a public hearing here. Zoning, I think everything else. The PUD discussion, of course, that's not going to be a public hearing. That's just a discussion between you and the applicant or proposed applicant for coming months on Cabala Farms or Calabala Farms. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that. But having a PUD or a plan unit development is basically a free pass to somebody's buddy who's a developer in our community. Gives them a free pass to develop every inch, to put most density on that property, and to get around the city's ordinances, the city's codes, city's side setbacks, rear setbacks, front setbacks to make smaller lots. And I would caution the Planning and Zoning
Mr.
Commission
Dinoff,
when you have this
Mr. Dinoff, your
discussion.
time is up.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we will close citizens' comments. Under old business this evening, there are 4 items on there regarding 1414 Bryan Road. The applicant has requested that these 4 items remain tabled until the February 5th, 2026 meeting, so no further action will be taken at this time on those items. Under new items, under new business this evening, the first item we have regarding Veritas Christian Academy at 1145 Tom Ginevra Road. This is a request for consideration and motion for action on a site plan for 1145 Tom Ginevra Road for a proposed building addition. And do we have someone to present this item?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ken Backelar. I'm with CJB Architecture and Design here in O'Fallon. And I'll be talking a little bit about this project tonight here for Veritas Christian Academy. This is a proposed 2,500 square foot training facility / restroom building located at the east of the football field and north of the bleachers at the existing campus there. And as you see in red, right across from the field there. Use of the building will be training and weight room for students and also provide restroom facilities for the sports field, which currently operates off of portable temporary restrooms. Water detention is provided with the existing basin, and no site improvements will be are required for that portion. Parking and site lighting will remain as is. There's no new building lighting being proposed either. We did receive a question about temporary trailers on site, kind of off subject to this, but from my understanding, these will be removed once the construction is over for this project. And talk a little bit about the building. The building itself will be constructed a load-bearing, load-bearing split-face CMU to match the existing buildings on campus there. I have aluminum storefront windows with glass panel overhead doors on the football field side, and also match the existing construction on site. If there's any HVAC equipment, there may be a condensing unit or two, probably be on the north side, that'll be screened by landscaping or fencing, approved fencing. And that's really all I had. If anybody has any questions, be happy to answer them.
Members of the commission, does anyone have any questions for the applicant? Yes, Commissioner Seymour.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You do have city sewer and water connections to that building?
I believe so. So I'm standing in for the civil engineer tonight, so I'm not super familiar with that, but I believe so. That will all be handled with the construction documents with the civil.
Any other questions for the applicant this evening? Yes, Commissioner Howard.
Madam Chair, thank you. You addressed the temporary trailers by not being your responsibility, but these trailers have been here for years. And every time they come in for the building addition, we want to know what's happening to the trailers, and we get an answer that this addition is going to help relieve these trailers and we'll be able to get them out of here. They're still there. And they need to be addressed. They either need to be properly provided hard surfaces for them, or they need to be moved. And plans need to be put in place to get rid of them completely.
Okay.
And this is not a storage lot.
I'm not familiar with that portion. Unfortunately, I can't really speak to that, but that'll be noted in reference to the owners.
I'd like to consider adding a condition that this issue has to be addressed to the city and what their plans are to get rid of those trailers back there.
Okay. Noted.
David, do you have a comment regarding that or any thoughts on those trailers?
I do think it's been an ongoing issue. I don't have any new information to share, but that's something I guess we can follow up with. That being a condition, that'll be the cue to go out and kind of check in on that more directly with their building folks and the fire department, I guess.
What's required in the code? I mean,
Yeah, with this being a school, it's, we've allowed them definitely over the years. I know Fort Zumwalt had them and they've been more temporary. And I think we've actually approved these. There's a couple of trailers that I know that are classrooms that were approved by us. There are some, I guess maybe storage containers. Is that the ones you're talking about? Yeah. Those really shouldn't be there, but with the school and all that, that's a whole different kind of ball game. But yeah, we can talk further about it, I guess, internally.
so is it appropriate to put a condition on here, or is this something that?
I think it's appropriate to put a condition to
Okay.
work through that, yeah.
I guess Commissioner Nunnery?
Mr. O'Keefe, could we put the condition that they have to remove these buildings, temporary buildings, prior to the building of this addition?
Since the application requires consideration of the site plan for the facility, I'm inclined to believe that conditions on the site, which may make approval of additional improvements on the site problematic, are related to the application and therefore can be added.
Thank you.
Mayor?
I don't want to put that on the condition. To me, they're a great neighbor. To me, let them see what's going on with it and see how long it's going to be. I don't want to put that on there. Let's give them a chance to say, hey, this is what's going on. That's my thought.
And
I mean, I don't have a problem with Doug's condition. I just don't want to put it, they can't do anything until those trailers move. I don't want to do that.
And I would concur with that. I don't have a problem with them moving forward, but we want to know what's happening with them trailers and we want them out of there.
Well, that sounds like to me,
Well,
Yeah,
we want them out, but to me, I think it's just, let's get their answers of what's going on with it.
so basically putting a requirement on there that they have a discussion with the building department to address the issue of the storage containers and the other trailers that are out there that are not permanently there.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So do we have a motion regarding this item on the agenda?
Madam Chair, I make a recommendation of approval based upon staff conditions with additional condition that they discuss with the city and come to a resolution about those trailers.
Second, Nunnery.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner
can I
Seymour?
add something real quick to that? I want to be consistent with Fort Zumwalt School District and any other school district. I don't want to hold this school at any other level than any other school in our city.
Mhm.
So if we're going to require that, then we need to require it of the Fort Zumwalt School District. Any schools in that school district should be we should all treat them all the same. That's all I have to say.
And I don't have a problem with the trailers of the school classes. I don't have a problem with that. The storage sheds, yes.
That's what we're talking about.
I think
Well, I think he's talking about both, but because there's some of them that are not more.
Classrooms were approved. I mean, they came through with the site plan and they were approved. Although they were supposed to be temporary, things change, classes grow.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second with the additional condition that there be a discussion between the applicant and the city regarding those storage containers and temporary classrooms and what is going on with them. Members of the commission, cast your votes.
Charlie.
All right, motion carries.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
The next item we have on the agenda this evening is regarding 609 South Main Street, the Starbucks. This is a request for consideration and motion for action on an extension of a site plan approval for 609 South Main Street. Casco is the contract purchaser for the proposed extension of a site plan approval with for a restaurant with a drive-through. Do we have someone to present this item?
Hi, good evening. My name is Austin Craddock. I'm representing the owner of this property. We are requesting a one-year extension of our site plan approval, which was granted in February of 2025. Little context, Starbucks, the corporation, went through some internal changes, and as a result, they slowed their growth of several locations, this being one of them. So it was sort of put on pause for about 6 to 8 months. Recently, they've re-engaged, and we've had very positive conversations with them that we'll be restarting the project here shortly. The good news is we already made a lot of traction. We have a full set of plans, building plans included. And so once we finalize the terms of the lease, we'll be able to submit those and get the project started pretty quickly. Thank you.
Members of the commission, does anyone have any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Seymour?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do you have any kind of a construction schedule?
Not yet. We'll wait till we actually finalize the lease, hire the general contractor. The general contractor will then put a schedule together. Usually for a remodel like this, once we start, we're looking at about 6 months or less.
Good. Okay. Yeah, that's building's been sitting vacant for a while, and
That's right.
it's right off the interstate. It's kind of an eyesore right now.
Absolutely.
It'd be great when you guys get it done.
As an owner
Get
that's
it
not
open.
collecting rent, I'd love to put something.
There you
in
go.
more than anything.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Members of the commission, any other questions or comments? Yes.
Is there any contingency if Starbucks gets cold feet again, turn into something else?
Absolutely. Are there other interested tenants? Yes, we've had some interest. Nobody I'd like to name or nobody that we felt comfortable with, given the visibility and the quality of the property. I'm willing to hold out to get a credible national tenant if possible. Is the goal. But we've had plenty of interest. But given the traction and the amount of work we already have under our belt with Starbucks, we sort of knew that this might come back around, and it did. And that's very positive. And so we're glad we waited.
Commissioner Howard?
Madam Chair, are you familiar with the condition 5 that was added by staff in the pre-meeting concerning the modification of the entrance off of Main Street?
Condition 5, did you say?
Yes, that they added?
I don't have that in front of me specifically.
Ethan, did you want to kind of go over that?
Yeah, this was a condition that was added last time this came through. It just didn't make it into our report this time. Basically, it's the condition to the entrance on, or the exit only onto Marie Lane is to just reconfigure that so that it's more of
we
a
adjust
exit only.
The plan for that.
Thank you.
Everything that was approved when it was approved was incorporated into the plans.
Okay. All right. Members of the commission, if there's no other questions or comments, do we have a motion regarding this item on the agenda?
Motion to approve staff recommendations with the addition of item 5, nunnery.
Second, Charlie Nagar.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the extension of the site plan approval for 609 South Main Street for the restaurant with the drive-through, with the addition of condition number 5. Members of the commission, cast your votes. All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item we have on the agenda this evening is a public comment for a conditional use permit for 1365 Highway K, Yummy Bowl. This is a request for consideration and motion for action on a conditional use permit for property at 1365 Highway K. Ichiro Bowl LLC is the applicant for the proposed use of sale and service of alcoholic beverages by the drink. Do we have someone here to present this item?
Yes. My name is Ethan Chen. I'm the manager on the restaurant. Actually, that's like our family restaurant. So, yeah, we just want to try to take approval by like selling the alcohol. Well, right now the restaurant was still working on it, but it's almost done. I will say it will be open on the beginning of next month. So, I'm sorry, I don't know what should I say.
Well, I'll see if anybody has any questions. So, members of the commission, does anyone have any questions for the applicant? All right, this is a public hearing, so if you'll step aside for a moment, we have one person who's completed a comment card. Mr. Dienoff?
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, City Public Advocate. I'm in favor of this project. This building has gone through a number of different applications or different restaurants. I don't know what the exact problem is in terms of the traffic flow. It's in the Walmart Plaza, but it's had some difficulty. Of course, Applebee's is in the front along Missouri Highway K. Maybe it's just not knowing that that restaurant or that building is there. And maybe there could be some signage or some other things that could be worked on. But I am not opposed to service of alcohol by the drink. I just want to make sure that the applicant goes through a verified process through our police department and a national background check to ensure that they're in compliance with all state, county, and municipal ordinances and laws with the sale of alcohol, and they don't have any previous violations or selling alcohol to underage people. And so for those reasons, I would support this. This is my endeavor, and your endeavor should be also to increase our sales tax and our viability of our city. This has been vacant for a number of years, and I'd like to see it occupied and brought back to life. Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman.
All right. With that, we will close the public hearing and allow you to come forward. Any other questions or comments for the petitioner? If not, do we have a motion regarding this item on the agenda?
I'm Chair, I make a recommendation of approval based upon staff conditions. Howard.
Second, Link.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the conditional use permit for the property at 1365 Highway K. Ichiro Bowl LLC is the applicant for the sale and service of alcoholic beverages by the drink. Members of the commission, cast your votes. All right, motion carries. Thank you.
This is going to be on next week's agenda for this, city council.
No.
This doesn't come to us, does it?
Council, no, it's just a
No.
P&Z
It's
conditional
not a
use.
recommendation. It's
Right.
All right. The next item we have on the agenda this evening is a public comment for a conditional use permit for 1120 Technology Drive. This is a request for consideration and motion for recommendation to the City Council regarding a conditional use permit for 1120 Technology Drive. Finn Ridge LLC is the property owner. U-Haul is the applicant for a cargo van rental utilizing existing parking area. Do we have someone here to present this item on the agenda?
Evening, planning and zoning members. My name is Adam. I'm with U-Haul International of Missouri Northeast, located at Spanish Lake, St. Louis. I'm here tonight proposing a request for conditional use permit. at the address of 1120 Technology Drive, Postal Capital. What we're requesting tonight is 3 cargo vans. I believe I submitted the size and description of the actual vans in question at this facility. Assist their location with additional foot traffic, help our customer client base, that part of Highway 40 and K. Not sure what questions you guys have for me. I pretty much,
Members of the commission, does anyone have, yes, Commissioner
Hey,
Nava?
thank you very much. I just have one question for you. So there, I know where you're going to be parking your vans. You guys going to have assigned parking for those vans, or is it first come, first serve, or how's that going to work for you?
so that was one of the questions I was going to inquire about tonight. The parking of the vans. As stipulated in your guys, in the city's request of parking the vans in the rear of the business is acceptable, but limited resources. I've driven by 3 to 4 times in the last week and a half, just kind of monitor the circumstances, and it gets full back there. But there are a few limited parking spots on the south end of the property, which has no access to any of the businesses. It's just kind of a parking area. I'm not sure if that would be something that you guys would consider as an alternate if the back is full, because I'm worried that 3 vans, if one of the customers was to come back there and if the parking is occupied, then we're going to be in a position of violating the city's.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Seymour?
thank you. Do you own that property there, or are you just leasing some space there?
That would be.
That will be our business. We're leasing it with.
Okay.
So
So
can
is
you
there any
identify-
way you could
give us your name?
designate?
Oh, my name is Bernadette Sales. I'm the owner of Postal Capital.
Okay.
Is there any way that you could identify some parking so there's parking for those vehicles only?
Well, the landowner actually advised us to park, is it the south side, like the entrance of the property? He did recommend to park it there where Hertz parks their car, because most customers park in the front where the stores are.
Well, that's adjacent to Technology Drive, is that correct?
Yes, that will be along Technology.
And it's kind of going to be an eyesore. How big are these trucks?
They're cargo vans. They're not a box truck.
They're cargo.
They're cargo vans, and our cargo vans get sold every year. So the cargo vans are no older than a year and a half old before being replaced.
How big are they? 24 foot, 26?
No. The cargo van is probably the length of a regular personal van, so probably, 14 foot, probably, something along that line. Fits in a regular parking spot without going past the parking.
And you got great big signs that say U-Haul?
They have like a U-Haul sign on the side of the van, correct?
But we can work with the landlord if the city
Okay.
wants us to park it there.
As long as they're not like 26-foot vans.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
David, or Ethan, what was the discussion with the applicant regarding this?
Yeah, we had met with them in the past and kind of talked about this a little bit. Just with the way the site is laid out and the limited maneuverability of it, we wanted them kind of more out of the way so that customers for other business would have the priority for the parking. So I don't think we're opposed to it being on the kind of southwest end of it, or in the middle, kind of between where those 2 buildings come out. So yeah, I don't think we're opposed to that.
And I would also like to note that this location is not going to be receiving any incoming equipment. This location will be designated 3 cargo vans, and that will be simply it. They will be using our referral reservation program for any reservations requiring box trucks. They'll be remoting the customers, of which they also get a piece of the commission by taking that reservation. So all they're going to be doing is assisting the community and their primary business with the cargo vans, which are notoriously used for like catering businesses and small delivery businesses.
This is a public comment.
Absolutely.
So if you'll step aside for a moment.
Okay.
We have one person who's completed a comment card. Mr. Dienoff?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the commission, Arnie C., AC Gino, City Public Advocate. At first, I'm not sure if I have my addresses mixed up, but I think it sounds like this is a different parcel than the parcel that's divided between the city and unincorporated St. Charles County. I was thinking this is one of the 6 applications on the April ballot for annexation, but I think this is further east and it's a different use here. But I think it's really unfair of this commission to mandate a private property owner where they want to park their vehicles. I mean, if their vehicles are in good standing, it's up to them. I mean, this is in a commercial area. It's unfair to be this restrictive to tell a private property owner where they can park their vehicles. How would you like to be told where you can park your vehicles on your driveway at your residential home? I don't think that's a prerogative of government to be that restrictive and that not economic development friendly to tell a business how to run their business. I think it's up to the property owner. So therefore, I would ask that you remove any restrictive parking and mandating where they park the 3 vans. I mean, they're asking for 3 simple vans. Yeah, they're going to say U-Haul, but it's up to these people behind me of where they want to park the vehicles. If they're on a concrete surface or a blacktop surface, let it be. Let's not be so restrictive that we're going to be known as not to do business in O'Fallon because we're not economic development friendly. So I ask you that you remove the restriction for any reserved or forced parking assignments. Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll close the public comment and ask the petitioner to come forward again. Members of the commission, Commissioner Howard?
Madam Chair, thank you. I'm concerned about parking down here too. I frequent this location more than once a month, and there are parking issues. Parking in the rear creates a whole different issue because employees are parking back there so that they free up the curbside parking lot for the front of the building. And that's also a delivery area where you have box trucks backing in there to make delivery to those businesses. Now, when cities look at parking requirements for buildings, one of the things that's taken into consideration is there's a turnover and rotation of people in and out. You come in, you get your hair done, you're there for an hour and your space opens up. Or you come in and eat and you're there for an hour and the space opens. With rental, both cars and vans, they may sit there days without being rented. I don't know what the turnover of your business is, but the possibility is there for that.
The vans average about 3 to 4 rentals a week.
So
Each
one
van.
car rented for how long? A whole week or?
The cargo vans are allowed to be used commercially. We actually have corporate accounts for the cargo vans, which a lot of times they go out for a month on end. So it will be limited that there will be 3 on site at any given time.
And that'll go a long ways to freeing up parking spots.
Absolutely.
For the general public for the restaurant. But I think that it's important to go, to allow the parking. It is more, it would be more advantageous for the rest of the businesses if you were parked on that northeast corner, close to where the rental cars are.
We'd be 100%.
And, it'd be convenient to get to. If you parked behind the building in this U-shaped building, it'd be difficult to get customers to there. They have to walk all the way around the building and through the parking lot. But being out there, they would be visible and everything too for you, which would help to go with rentals. So taking in those kind of considerations, that might be a better location than behind the building.
I agree.
And that would move it away from the building and keep open parking for customers trying to get into. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Baust.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ethan, when we put that restriction on, did we know the type of vehicle that this business was looking to use for U-Haul?
Yeah, when we came up with that, we were thinking that we were going to restrict them to just the vans. So yeah, that was a consideration as well.
Because I think the van's no different than the Hertz rental car, right? Rental cars sat there for a period of time in the same spot. So I don't know why we'd put the restriction on them to park in a certain spot, but the rental cars can take up the same spots that they're wanting to use. So I guess maybe we should consider taking that restriction off and have them the same advantages every other business in that strip mall.
Well, I think there's one big difference, and that's there's a lot of signage. It's a little bit, there's more on those. Hertz rental cars look like just any other vehicle. Could be a customer. You can't tell whether it's a rental car or a customer in there. It's obviously a big difference between a cargo van, and it's a little bit more, some people may consider it more of an eyesore because of all the signage on it. So, Ethan, do you?
Yeah, I agree. That was kind of our thought as well. With the Hertz, they do have a much larger parking area on that side of the site where they park those cars. So there is more opportunity over there for customers of businesses on that end of the building to park. With this Postal Capital, it is kind of on the narrow part area of parking. So there's not as many parking spaces over there for the businesses on that side. So that was just kind of our thought process.
And I'll make one other comment. And I know you want to say something, Mayor, but it's not like you have a business there. This is just a place to store the cars. It's not like people they're coming there to rent from you.
Yes.
So you have a location inside that facility?
Postal store.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Mayor.
I don't have a problem getting rid of the addition. It was the lady said, the owner of the property says, this is, to me, that's going to be up to them and the property owner to say, where are you going to park your vans? To me, it's not this commission's responsibility to say where you can park your van. To me, I believe you already said that the owner says this is where he prefer you to park the vans.
Yes.
I say you get rid of it and let those two folks deal with it.
All right. Do we have a motion regarding this item on the agenda?
Madam Chair, I make a recommendation of approval of staff conditions for the removal of the parking restrictions.
Second, Bowster.
Seymour.
All right, we have a motion and a second for a recommendation of approval to the City Council regarding a conditional use permit for 1120 Technology Drive. Van Ridge LLC is the property owner. U-Haul is the applicant for the proposed use of a cargo van rental utilizing existing parking areas. Members of the commission, cast your votes. All right, motion carries. And this will be at next Thursday's planning or City Council.
Week from today, 7:30.
Thank you very much. So basically, we're finished for this evening. Be back here Thursday. Okay. Thank you,
thank you.
members.
All right. The next item we have on the agenda this evening is a public hearing for a preliminary plat for the villages of Bush Wildlife. This is a request for consideration and motion for action on a preliminary plat for the villages of Bush Wildlife. Lombardo Homes of St. Louis LLC is the contract purchaser for a residential subdivision. Do we have someone here to present this item?
Got a PowerPoint. I got to get loaded up here real quick. All right, members of the commission, my name is Brad Pryor. I'm an attorney with Hamilton Weber LLC in St. Charles. I'm here on behalf of Lombardo Homes to speak about the villages at Bush Wildlife Project. This here is a site location map to kind of orient your minds to where we're talking about, the property that we're talking about. And earlier in the pre-meeting, there was discussion regarding the why are we back here, right? If there was preliminary plat approval in 2024, what has transpired since then? to require us to come back. And the simple issue is that the same day that the preliminary plat was approved, there was a lawsuit filed challenging the city's annexation of the property. And that lawsuit has been pending since that time and has caused delays and other issues with respect to the development moving forward. Under the city code, there has to be certain actions taken within the 1-year timeframe of the preliminary plat approval until you can move forward or it expires. And here we've run into a situation where the preliminary plat expired in September of 25. Now, one other difference between the previous time that we were in front of the planning and zoning and then in front of the council is that at that time there was a rezoning that was had been submitted but not yet approved. In this body, the commission recommended denial of both the rezoning and the preliminary plat. Well, at the council level, that rezoning was approved, and as discussed in the pre-meeting, that zoning, the property is currently zoned R3 medium density residential district. And the site plan complies with the requirements as provided in the code with respect to that zoning district. And so, yes, this is the same site plan, but it's slightly different procedurally in terms of the situation in which is going on. But here is a slide outlining the site data. So the proposed lots is 239, and with that works out to 1.48 lots per acre. And when you compare that to the comprehensive plan, which provides for 4 lots per acre, that differences were well within that range, as well as with respect to the minimum lot size of R3, as compared to what the proposed development is. The minimum lot size in the entire development is that 9,185, whereas the minimum in R3 is 7,500. And again, there's only 10 lots that are even less than 10,000 square foot. Here is just an overview shot of the plat itself. This was part of the packet that you all received. And with that, I will address any questions or concerns. And Jeff Shore with Lombardo is also here as well.
Members of the commission? Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah, real quick. So does that change in the density explain the difference in the traffic report that showed like 556 lots? This is like 239, right?
So are you referring to the traffic study that was done by CBB? Right. So the traffic study was completed in 2023. And at that time, that was done under a whole entire previous plan. And so that traffic study was done, and I got it written down here. Sorry about that. And that had considered, to your point, it was 536 lots. And now, since the development was split into two, with a portion of it being in O'Fallon and a portion of it being in the county, the total lots between both of them is only 359, which is a reduction of 120 compared to that previous traffic study.
All right. Members of the commission, does anyone else have any questions for the applicant?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Seymour.
thank you. I got a question about, it says that there's a property located in the flood zone. Now, is that any development of these lots? Will they be removed out of the flood zone? And will there be a LOMAR issued?
I'll let Mr. Shore speak to that.
Yeah, any lots that right now that would be in the floodway fringe, that area would be raised, and we would go through the city's procedure for a floodplain development permit and eventually a LOMAR so that we could sell those houses so they wouldn't need insurance.
So they will be all raised, whatever the 100-year event or whatever, there would be a foot above that event.
It'd be it's in
Is it
O'Fallon,
2
it's a
foot now?
2-foot
Okay,
requirement for
okay.
O'Fallon.
Sir, for the record, I know, can you give us your name and address?
My name is Jeffrey Schreier. I'm with Lombardo Homes, 4 Research Park, St. Charles, Missouri, 63304.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions or comments? All right, This is a public hearing, and we have one person who's completed a comment card. I'm sorry, two people. If the first one, Mr. Dienoff.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman. Arnie C., AC Dienoff, City Public Advocate. You know, I believe in the citizen-run Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Unfortunately, it's very political because the mayor appoints you. So there's a lot of allegiance between you and the mayor. And back in 2024, on September 9th, this commission, I forget the vote, but I think it was pretty much substantially denied this zoning change, denied the preliminary plat, and it went to the city council. So in my opinion, it's a real slap in the face of the city council to reject a citizen-run board that knows best of how our community should be governed and what type of development we should have. This development stinks from the get-go. First of all, Double D is overridden with cars. It's turning into a Missouri Highway N where there's a lot of new residences going in there without the public safety improvements, without the guardrails, without the sidewalks, without the amenities. We keep putting traffic after traffic after traffic. We don't learn our lessons from Overland Park in Johnson County, Kansas, that builds the development and the infrastructure before. We're reacting to after development and trying to clean up the messes in terms of public services and public needs. Now, this developer wants to be greedy time after time after time. Lombardo wants to get as many possible homes and get the maximum amount of sales and profits, and the heck with citizens and the heck with the quality of life of our community. Now, I would ask and propose that the density be looked at, the traffic be looked at, the quality of saving lives on Missouri Highway D, where there's accidents almost on a daily or weekly basis down there. Pull the stats from County Police, O'Fallon Police, and Missouri Highway Patrol. Case number 2411-CC01181 is currently pending in the Circuit Court of St. Charles County, and it's going through discovery process. It looks like to me it's going to be 8 months to 12 months before it goes to trial. And so I would support and ask this commission that you recommend tabling this issue for 6 months, take it back up to see where the courts and Judge McDonough, the presiding judge of the 11th Judicial Circuit of St. Charles County, is on his decision-making process. I support the original decision of this commission on September 5th, 2024. All of you were present except for 2 members on the far right and the far left that didn't decide this issue. I ask you to vote this, either table it for 6 months, revisit it in 6 months, or vote this measure down. This is not the time. This is not the place. We don't have the capital improvement projects and the public safety improvement needs on Missouri Highway D to accommodate both of these subdivisions on the north and south side. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
The next person that's completed a comment card regarding this item, Nate DeLuca.
Good evening. My name is Nate DeLuca, 9 Foxwood Drive. I'm the Foxwood Estates Homeowners Association president. Our subdivision abuts Tall Tree to the north, and my property abuts it directly to the north. We're against it. I'd like to address a few items on the staff report that you're all given. On page 2, it shows our subdivision as being part of O'Fallon. We are unincorporated St. Charles County, and so your map's correct, and we'd like to stay in the county. The plat map used by Sterling shows my house is being owned by Tall Tree Farm. The traffic study shows and assumed that the Lake St. Louis Boulevard would have been approved. As you all know, or should know, that money has been removed. So that's going to be either canceled or pushed back. One of the biggest concerns I have is the city ran a fiscal analysis and it showed a net loss to its citizens. In that analysis, it showed the average O'Fallon or the average income for one of its residents to be $160,000. That was an arbitrary number put in there. It's actually $98,000, and that's also in your plan. So all of the tax revenue, all of the money that the city would get based on $160,000 is actually, or should have been, based on $98,000. So it's a loss of millions of dollars to the citizens of O'Fallon, and it's actually going to be even greater because an arbitrary, incorrect salary was used. Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll close the public hearing and ask the petitioner to come forward and address the concerns of the residents.
Sorry, I was just making sure I had everything written down in my head before I started going. With respect to the court case, it is in pretrial discovery. Part of the issue for the delays is that the plaintiffs, the individuals who filed that case that are challenging the annexation, they have blown through deadlines and discovery deadlines, and then went to the court and asked for extensions on those deadlines, which the court has granted. So part of the reason that case is taking that long is inflicted from the plaintiffs themselves. With respect to the plat map having the incorrect ownership issue, that if that mistake is in there, that can be corrected and revised moving forward. With respect to the Lake St. Louis extension project, obviously the county has reallocated those funds, but the county has not completely abandoned that project. That project, as explained by Ms. Amanda Brower, that project is still ongoing. It's just those funds have been reallocated to a higher priority project. And then with respect to the fiscal analysis, the median household income issue was addressed, or excuse me, was estimated for the demographic area to be $160,000. And it says in here that the citywide is average about $97,000. So the fiscal analysis was conducted based on that $160,000 figure, consistent with those projections. With that, if there's any questions from the commission, we'd be happy to address.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Seymour.
I'd like to start by saying this commission is advisory to the city council and the mayor on these issues. So we are just an advisory commission.
Right.
And whatever decisions are made, they're made by the city council. Thank you.
Mayor.
Let me tell you what, I'd be very upset if I was this commission right now of what that gentleman just said.
Absolutely.
You have no allegiance to me. Yes, I've appointed you because I thought you do the best that you can do for this city. So if I were you, I'd be very upset what that gentleman said, that you're in my back pocket. I'll guarantee you that ain't happening. I mean, I'll let y'all speak for that, but if I were you, I'd be very upset.
Yes, Commissioner Nunnery.
I'm not beholden to any human being on this earth besides my wife. Each member of this commission is appointed by the mayor, but that appointment must be ratified by the entire city council. And there has been situations where a member has not been ratified. I received no money, no promises of retribution of any kind from the mayor or anyone else in this city. And I fully agree with what comments have been made. That gentleman is out of order.
What? Yes, Commissioner Baust.
I just have a question. When you put this plat together, did you consider Highway DD maybe expanding or giving room for Highway DD to grow?
So, I mean, we are dedicating more ground. We've had conversations with MoDOT. MoDOT actually is not looking for additional ground in this area, but we are continuing to have conversations with MoDOT and St. Charles County Road Board. I will say that, the traffic study that was done for a lot larger density. I think 1.5 units lots per acre is a pretty low density. So the argument that was made that you guys should look at density, I don't know how, the density is pretty good at 1.5 acres. The traffic study recommended that we do certain improvements along DD with that larger density count that was done with the previous development that tried to go through the county. We're still going to do those, even with the lower density.
So I guess in answer to your question, you've accommodated currently what the state's looking for. So you factored that into your plot.
Yeah, all traffic studies first start with a scoping meeting with the municipality and MoDOT and those involved. And from that, the traffic engineers work through the report with that scoping meeting.
I just wanted to make sure that it was understood that you guys are forward thinking, understanding that this added traffic, even though the current traffic study says what, but you've put that into your thought when developing these lots. And you're not just trying to maximize. I mean, every builder is trying to maximize the amount of lots, but you've already considered the impact to DD and how you could be a good steward of that area for your future landowners.
So on a personal matter, I've been a civil engineer for many years. I worked for many different civil engineering companies. I've now worked for Lombardo Homes for about 4 years. I have done layouts for a lot of different builders, and yeah, we try to pack in lots for those builders. I will say Lombardo does not look at it in the same way. We try to look at lot quality. Our homes are bigger. We need bigger lots. We try to look at every lot as far as, can this customer eventually put a pool in? What's the quality of life they're going to have with their yard? It is a step that we go through for every subdivision, and we create this report before we buy a piece of ground. What is the lot quality of this subdivision going to be in for the future homeowners? Another matter that was brought up about the economic development. I was born here in St. Charles County. I've lived in O'Fallon since 1997, and I have seen a lot of growth. I've been, residential has happened and happened great in 1997 when the mayor was just an alderman. The commercial comes afterwards. And I know we'd all like to see the commercial come first, but it comes afterwards. I hope that this development will bring people in O'Fallon because it's a great community to live in. I love living in it. My wife and I, like I said, we have lived here since 1997. There's a lot of commercial up front that is still vacant in the Wing Haven area that we hope that, I know they hope that they can start leasing out and start selling. So I think this is a good project for the community.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Commissioner Seymour.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask you, this project doesn't have to be in O'Fallon, is that correct? It could be in the county. But O'Fallon's restrictions, zoning code is a lot more strict than the county, is that correct?
So in terms of the project itself, the annexation is still valid, so this is still O'Fallon property.
What I'm saying is the
Answer
owner
your
of the
question,
property-
yes. Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Yes. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, yes, Commissioner.
All right, so I'm speaking more personally here, but I don't feel comfortable voting on something in which there's existing litigation. I think it's bad optics for us to try to push that through. I think it makes us look dismissive of the lawsuit. And so I'd like to make a motion to table this issue until the lawsuit is resolved.
Council, do you have a comment regarding that?
Yes, ma'am. The ordinances of the city establish a time limit within which the council and the commission are required to act on applications that would not allow you to make that, to proceed in that fashion.
Based on that, Mr. Comment, would you withdraw your motion?
I'll withdraw this motion, but I'm certainly not in favor of this.
All right, then are there other comments or regarding this item or motion regarding this item on the agenda?
Motion to approve staff recommendations, nunnery.
Second, Charlie Nagar.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the site preliminary plat for the Villages at Bush Wildlife. Lombardo Homes of St. Louis LLC is the contract purchaser for a residential subdivision. Members of the commission, cast your votes. All right, motion carries. All right. The next item we have on the agenda this evening is a unified public hearing and public comment for the rezoning from R1 Single Family Residential District to CO Office District, conditional use permit and preliminary plat for 507 Sondern Street, Stevenson Place. Do we have someone here to go over these items? There's 4 different issues that we will be voting on.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Jeff Simmons with Bax Engineering, 221 Point West Boulevard, St. Charles. So this is for Stevenson Place. Materially, the layout of the proposal has not changed from what you and the commission approved previously back in October. We're just going about this a different way because when we got to council, the request was to provide for sale units. That was a preference. At that point, we didn't know that there would be a way to do that. However, since then, we've looked at the code a little bit and the fact that this is in the downtown overlay district. And there is a method to rezone this to a commercial office use and then seek a conditional use permit because of that overlay, which would allow us to provide private access drive, because the entire issue here is there's no access to public right-of-way for more than one individual house. So to subdivide this in any way, even as it stands as R1, we do not have full right-of-way access, which is required for residential developments in the city of O'Fallon. So by doing this, we are allowed to use a private driveway, private access, and we we'll be able to subdivide each of these and list them for sale rather than the previously approved, planning and zoning approved apartments. So what we're proposing remains 16 units. The access will be off of Sondern through an access easement. There are several items here, including a site plan for this adjacent property. To get this access easement in and the sidewalk, we need to remove 6 parking spaces. As the developer has spoken with the property owner, they desired additional parking. So on the land that property owner possesses, we're proposing 12 parking spaces to get him, as part of the negotiation, what he is looking for. I know during the pre-meeting, there were some comments made regarding the fill. The developer is aware of the conditions previously placed, is fine with the conditions remaining in place. We've had discussions where he understands that he may have to remove all of that fill and replace it properly, and he's prepared to do so. Until he knows exactly what he will be able to do with the parcel itself, he did not invest in the geotechnical. But we might have to go back down to virgin ground, and that he realizes that. I think there was a commitment to provide a environmental study. He's well aware of that as well. And then I think one of the other questions that came up was what the area between the proposed sidewalk here and the existing building would be. So once these parking spaces are removed, that area will be landscaped. I'd be happy to answer any questions after the public hearing.
Members of the commission? Yes, Commissioner Nunnery.
You mentioned he's well aware of this fill situation.
Correct.
What is his logic or reasoning by not answering as to what this fill is in place at the present time before any of this is considered?
He can probably speak to that better than I. He is working with, I failed to mention, but he is working with city staff currently, discussing this fill that was previously placed and how to remediate it. But he is here and might be able to answer that question.
My name's Mike Snyder, 1467 Main Street. So what was the question?
The question is, this issue of fill has been on the books for a lengthy period of time. The city assistant attorney recommended a condition on the application, and it was granted by this commission, to find out what that fill consisted of. And to this day, we have no knowledge, and the citizens who live around that community who are concerned about that fill, some of which are in the audience tonight, have had no answer. Why has there been no answer?
That fill is from the neighboring concrete plants. It's gravel, sand, and cement. I think it's been used throughout the county for many, many years. When it's brought in, it ends up being, a lot tighter than just dirt fill as far as compaction. Even though putting these footings in, we'll still have to meet, compactions. That's why I said, okay, if nobody likes the fill, we'll remove it, compact it to the city's standards, so the footings can be placed on whatever those requirements are, 90% compaction. But yeah, that's what was brought in on the site. Most of it was from the local concrete plants, which I know has been doing it for 50 years here in the city.
David, does that meet your requirement to know what fill is in there?
I'll defer that to Todd.
No, that wouldn't. If you move more than 50 cubic yards of dirt, you require a grading permit. A grading permit needs to be designed and signed by an engineer. And then also with the grading of that, we would have construction inspectors out monitoring that fill as well. So being as it's done already without city staff out there, construction inspectors looking at it, the grading's been done before the permit was issued.
I think that's why we had the condition that we did from before.
Commissioner Boust?
I have a question on the entrance. So you're looking to put that, I'll call it a side road, if you will, to get back to this property. The entrance is kind of unique, right? There's a telephone pole right there. How are you adjusting that? I mean, I can just see if I was a property owner back there, I might slide into that business drive-in because it looks like it's my drive-in. Didn't know how your plan doesn't show you adjusting any of that. So it looks like it's one way out. I don't know if it's big enough to fit two cars, but just my thought.
Well, I've asked Bax to, I'd like to remove that pole and make that entrance, 30 feet wide. That's what the easement is to get back to this property. So that's one of the things that I've been talking with my neighbors, both businesses, Five Star Electric and then rental place. So, and one of the neighbors is here. He might be able to weigh in on some of these questions that you guys might have with the pole. I've already talked to him. I'd like to either put it towards his property or um, going further north on 5 Stars to remove that island.
So in other words, it's not a complete plan?
Well,
This color rendering doesn't show it, but on the preliminary that we did submit to the city, believe it does show that we're removing that and replacing that. So we will be paving over that area.
Yes, Commissioner Nagar.
Yes, thanks, Carolyn. How is it coming along with 409 as far as getting access? You've talked to those guys?
409 is 5 Star Electric.
Yeah, he's not here. And, we, Bax has done the additional parking, given him more parking spots. I was hoping he'd show, but yeah, we're still in discussions with them.
Nothing's been settled or anything?
Well, the only thing that's been talked about is what's shown now, the additional, I guess we're giving him an extra 6 parking spots because I believe he's losing 6.
If I may, the three of us met, the property owner, Mike, and myself met. And yeah, he'd asked us to prepare the plan with the additional parking in exchange, and he's working with Mike. The actual details, the maintenance, that'll all be taken care of after we get this approval. And then, there will be an agreement on who maintains, how it's maintained, how it's plowed, all of that.
Thanks for that update.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Seymour.
Thank you. I have a couple questions. One of them is a fire hydrant. Have you talked to the fire district? Do we have where these occupancies are going to be? Do you have access to a fire hydrant in case there's a fire?
So
number 2, have you talked to the fire district about access to their firefighting apparatus and being able to access that property?
So we have designed this with a fire approved, let me get to the second one, approved turnaround. So one of the options is a cul-de-sac, typical cul-de-sac. Other options include the hammerhead that we're showing here as a satisfactory fire department turnaround. As far as the fire hydrant, we are extending water into the property, and we will be having a fire hydrant. I think there are 2 on this property, one near where the trash enclosure is, and then one at the end of the units.
Okay, and as far as your sewer goes, how are you getting that up to the property?
So there's an existing sewer line that was stubbed to the property, and we're going to connect with that. As we get further along through design, we understand that we may have to look at maintenance. I'm not sure it's been maintained throughout time, so we'll be looking at that and upgrading it as appropriate.
So you won't have to go through any adjacent property. The reason I'm asking on this is your property, as you well know, is surrounded by residential and commercial. You have no access. That's why one of the issues here.
Correct. So right now we have a sewer line that's extended up to, I don't know if you can see my cursor here, but there's a manhole that we're going to put here. And then this is an existing sewer line that runs along that adjacent property line.
So that would be in an easement?
Yes, should be.
And you won't need to go on that person's property to dig anything up?
Yeah, we have no intention of going on their property.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of my concerns. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mayor.
Todd, on this first condition, now I'm talking about the grading and the fill and all that stuff. It says, is conditional upon applicable requirements provided within Title IV of the city's municipal code being addressed on the construction site plan. Does that have anything to do with the grading and the fill? Because I see nothing on here that says, because if I'm not mistaken, when it came back through us before, I think I made the motion, they can't do anything to that piece of property until they get the geotechnical stuff done and the grading and all that stuff taken care of before they even start anything. I don't see any of that on these conditions. So I'm just curious. I understand they withdrew the last one. I don't want to get away from this grading thing that, you know.
Yeah, Mayor, I'm looking at that condition number 2, that last sentence. Does that not address what you're mentioning? Condition number 2?
All I see on condition, I'm looking at the site plan.
It's on the preliminary plat.
Oh, it's on the preliminary plat?
Yep.
So can you read that condition to me, Spencer?
It's a paragraph. Buckle up.
That's fine.
Provide documentation showing how much fill was brought to the site and any grade changes. A geotechnical study shall be conducted to review the following items, including but not limited to the extent of the fill brought in, the compaction of the fill, the type of materials used in the fill, and if any hazardous materials are present in the fill. This study shall be reviewed and approved by the city. Retroactive permits or corrective actions shall be required prior to construction as reviewed on the construction site plans and geotechnical study. No permits for construction, further grading, or clearing will be issued until the city has reviewed and approved the geotechnical study and any corrective actions have been completed to the satisfaction of the city.
Thank you. Mike, Jeff, do you all agree with that?
Yes. Go ahead. It's your project.
No, Mike, I want to get this grading thing taken care of. And I understand, yeah, maybe they've been doing it for 50 years and 60 years, but now that's not us anymore. To me, we need to do the things the right way. So we need to make sure that the grading and everything there is what it's supposed to be.
Well, I've been speaking with Kiesel. They're going to be, I met with them out on the site and they've said, well, this is how we'll do it. And we had somebody from SCI and somebody from Kiesel. There was 4 of us out on the site, and as you know, there's an existing house there, and we need to remove that, but we don't want to do any of that yet until we know that this thing, and I'd start tomorrow. You know,
I understand that. To me, I think you need to get with staff and get with Todd to figure out what you need to actually start. And I understand you're waiting on approval from this commission, from the city council. But to me, I think it would go a very long way with at least the city council. That's, you know, you start working with Todd and getting something done out there on the grading issue and the fill and all that stuff before it comes to a vote 4th Thursday in this month.
Okay.
I'm just giving you a heads up. I think it'll go a very long way that this is what you're doing instead of waiting to get approval and then
understand. I just don't want to tear the house down and not.
No, I understand you don't want to tear the house down, but I think if you get the geotechnical and the grading stuff taken care of, you know, that's fine. I think you get with Todd and, you know,
that's fine.
I understand. And thank God that, you know, you're meeting 4 people out there, but I don't think I heard city staff being out there in that conversation.
Okay. Yeah. And now to get it done in the next, by the next meeting.
I'm not telling you get it done. At least
you want
working on it.
Not to put words in your mouth, but are you asking for a plan of action with concurrence of city staff?
Yes.
We will meet with Todd and city staff, the appropriate city staff.
And
your technical
if you
engineer.
have 5 or 6 people go out there and, you know, the engineers can say, this is what you need. Todd, do you agree with that?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Howard?
When this project was rentals, I wasn't concerned so much about foundations and stuff. I mean, you own it, you build it, foundation collapses, and you start settling, that's your problem. But now we've got private residents, and when the foundations and footings start settling and the walls start cracking, that's the homeowner's problem. And now you wind up with a house you can't even sell because the foundation's gone on it. And not knowing what we're dealing with, that really has me concerned about some poor guy working to buy his house, and next thing you know, he's been condemned even. So, I mean, I would like for some kind of insurances that that's going to be taken care of. Not going to have that problem.
Well, in the past, I've been down this road before on some developments on Highway K, where I was building, and, come to find out, the 14 feet of fill was never compacted, and I had to go down to virgin soil, which the footing became 13 feet deep before I could put in the shart wall. So I'm hoping that by doing this, compacted while everybody's SCI and everybody's there watching it go in, we can do this typical slab foundation footing, 3-foot wall, separate sewer lines, separate water lines. So I'm hoping I wouldn't have to go on the west building. That is all pretty much virgin soil, but the east building would be where a lot of the fill was. So that's probably the most important footing and foundation. But the west building, even though virgin soil is still maybe 5-6 feet down before this finished slab, that's not as bad as what I've had to do out on Highway K on a commercial building and go back and try to collect a small fortune just to get a foundation in, because somebody didn't look at the fill. And I don't want to, name any names, but I've been down this road that you're talking about, been building here for a long time. Been my son's 4th generation, small company, lived in O'Fallon, basically on Main Street my whole life. So watched everything go. Watched Main Street, watched Highway K go from when my dad was traveling, it was a gravel road. So anyway,
Well, these are going to be slab units rather than with basements under them.
Well, I'm letting Bax decide if we're going to put basements under them, but right now they're presented as slab buildings.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Seymour?
thank you. I was a building inspector for 16 years. I did plan review for commercial structures, residential structures. I did not and would not issue a permit for residential or commercial without a a geotechnical report signed by an engineer as to what the compaction rate is on that soil. I don't care if there's 100 foot of fill. Without that report, I would not issue you a building permit for nothing, because it's just like the commissioner said, Doug Howard, sorry. We're not putting that on the homeowners. We as a city, I'm not even talking about the Planning and Zoning Commission, we as a city, that is our responsibility. Okay? So I understand the concern there, but we don't know, and I don't think you're sure what's underneath that ground. So I'm not comfortable with approving anything here until we have that information is signed off by a licensed engineer, the state of Missouri.
Mr. Seymour, I believe that is the intent of that condition that's being added or has already been added. The geotechnical engineer will be responsible for evaluating the compaction, whether it's suitable as is, or whether they have to remove all of the fill that was placed, replace it, and compact it. Those reports are also required to be submitted to the engineering department. So there's that second layer that you've got the signature of the geotechnical engineer, and there's that second layer of submittal to the staff. So I think that covers that condition covers the requirements.
Right, we're just kind of waiting for that requirement. So, I mean, this is really nothing new that we don't require of any other development coming into the city. That should be.
That's understood, and no movement will be taking place. But if this isn't approved as this, it might be something different, which might require different requirements. He's looking for, before he invests in that removal and replacement, he wants to look at and make sure that this is the product he's moving forward with, and everything's going to lay out as we presented it.
Well, you get the engineer out there, and he can tell you right now before you turn one spade of dirt over. He can tell you. Our engineering department knows that you don't have to do anything but take your engineer out to the site, and they can check for compaction there.
Mr. Schneider will set up a meeting with city staff, myself, and a geotechnical engineer prior to.
That should be the first thing you do, is talk with the city, make sure you're meeting our requirements, our engineering requirements. And I 100% agree with the mayor, and he never told me to agree with him. I agree with him. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. This is a unified public hearing, so if you guys will step aside, we have one person who's completed a comment card. Mr. Dinoff?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff, City Public Advocate. I have to ask each commission member and look you straight in the eye. Why are we here at this point in time? We're putting the cart before the horse at every angle. My question with this developer is, if you skip at the beginning and don't get needed city permits, if you skip at the beginning to cut costs, what is your quality of construction at the end result? This commission and the city council have an obligation to protect the health, safety, and welfare. When you raised your right hand and swore to the oath of the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Missouri and our city charter, you said that you would uphold this public safety, health, and welfare of all citizens. There are other residential developments around that are existing homes that are in jeopardy here. The fill is in question and has been questioned from day one because the permits were thumbed at and never received or applied for. There are questions from the United States Environmental Protection Agency. There are definitely questions from agents with the state of Missouri Department of Natural Resources. Exactly how this was conducted, how it was packed, and what substance was put onto this property. I'm telling you right now, there's an investigation by the State Department of Natural Resources. There needs to be full remediation, and the liability is on the applicant behind me. There are conflicts of interest with at least one city council member and possibly a second and third city council member and the mayor in this development. I ask that because of what's going on with this compaction, what's going on with this fill, that you table this application until the owner, until the applicant gets the necessary reports from the state, from the Environmental Protection Agency, from the State Department of Natural Resources, and from a certified and reputable engineering firm. We want to make sure that this is done right because it wasn't done right from the get-go. For those reasons, I ask that you table this until he gets his ducks in the order, or that you deny this wholeheartedly with a full recommendation of no to the city council, because I'm going to be at next meeting asking each city council member to deny this application. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
That'll close the public hearing portion and ask the petitioners to come forward. Mayor?
Just for a point of record, I have no affiliation with Mr. Schneider. Just for the record. I mean, he can say it to him. He can say it. I have no things with Mr. Schneider. Just for the record.
All right. Would you like to address the comments?
I'm not really sure that I can address any of them. I'm not aware of any reports or anything like that. I think we all understand that we will be seeking the appropriate recommendations from the appropriate engineers, which I am not, but the geotechnical engineers on how to attack this should this get approved. And if it doesn't get approved, Mr. Schneider also understands that he will have to work with the city to rectify this as is.
Members of the commission, do we have any other questions or comments for this item on the agenda? Mayor?
Just one, I'll just reiterate. You're coming before the city council next Thursday, and if you guys can get something at least starting to work on what's going on out there, that would be a great help. And I think not only to the council, but to the residents that are back there.
If there are no other questions or comments, there are 4 items to vote on regarding this item on the agenda. So the first one is a request for consideration and motion for recommendation to the City Council regarding the rezoning of 507 Sondern Street from R1 Single Family Residential District to CO Office District. Michael Schneider is the property owner for the proposed use of a residential development. Do we have a motion regarding this item?
Madam Chair, I make a recommendation of approval based upon staff conditions. Howard.
Do we have a second?
I second Egamar.
All right. We have a motion and a second for a recommendation of approval to the City Council regarding the rezoning of 507 Sondern Street from R1 Single Family Residential District to CO Office District for a proposed residential development. Members of the commission, cast your votes. All right. That motion has a recommendation of fail to the City Council. Now, this will be at next Thursday's meeting in the City Council. The next item we have on the agenda this evening is a request for consideration and motion for recommendation to the City Council regarding a conditional use permit for 507 Sondern Street. Michael Schneider is the property owner for the proposed use of dwellings in a non-residential zone structure. Do we have a motion regarding this item?
Hennessy for staff recommendations.
Second, Howard.
All right, we have a motion and a second for a recommendation of approval to the City Council regarding a conditional use permit for 507 Sondern Street. Michael Schneider is the property owner for dwellings in a non-residential zone structure. Members of the commission, cast your votes. This motion fails. And this will also be heard at the next city council meeting, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The next item is a request for consideration and motion for action on a preliminary plat for 507 Sondren Street. Michael Schneider is the property owner for the proposed use of a residential subdivision.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, make a recommendation of approval based upon staff conditions. Howard.
Second, Hennessy.
All right, we have a request for consideration and motion of action on a preliminary plat for 507 Sondren Street. Michael Schneider is the property owner for the proposed use of a residential subdivision. Members of the commission, cast your votes. The preliminary plat has been denied. The next item is a request for consideration and motion for action on a site plan for 409 Sondren Street. JDL 23 LLC is the property owner for a parking lot adjacent to Stevenson Place. Do we have a motion regarding this item?
Madam Chair, make a recommendation of approval based upon staff conditions. Howard.
Do we have a second?
Second, Hennessy.
All right, we have a motion and a second for the approval of the site plan for 409 Sondren Street. JDL 23 LLC is the property owner for the proposed use of a parking lot adjacent to Stevenson Place. Members of the commission, cast your votes. All right, the site plan for the parking lot adjacent to Stevenson Place has been denied. All right. With that, we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, which is a PUD discussion. Do we have someone to present this item?
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Jeremy Roth with McBride Homes, 17415 North Outer 40 Drive in Chesterfield. And tonight here to have a preview meeting for upcoming project of ours in the Highway N, Hopewell Road area, just west of our Harvest Master Plan community. And very excited to present it tonight and get feedback. So here's the area. I marked the property with a yellow dot there. This is zoomed out so you can see it's south of Highway N, west of Hopewell. You can see the large Harvest community there that's underway. There's 3 builders in Harvest. It's been a very successful community so far. Between the 3 builders, I think there's been about 250 homes built in 18 months. So a lot of demand for new housing in this area. Here's just a zoomed in area of the property so you can see the Harvest development to the east. And then this property is about 95 acres, 94.15 acres. Right now, it's composed of multiple parcels with three property owners, 3 sellers. We're under contract on the property. Right now, you access the property from a gravel drive from Highway N called Gallup Lane. So access off Highway N, long gravel drive all the way to the south to access the 3 properties. We, however, will be our access, which you'll see in just a minute, will be via Deer Road, the Deer Road extension that was built with the Harvest development, and then a stub street in phase 2 of Harvest. And here's just one more aerial to show. This is that aerial of Harvest is only about 10 days old, so it's a pretty current visual of the status of Harvest. And so you can see we've developed phase 2, but there's no homes in that area yet. The property is bounded by Darting Creek on the south, and then vacant agricultural ground to the north and west. So there's no direct surrounding residents as we sit here today. So here's our site plan. I think the first thing that hopefully jumps out at you is the amount of green space. And I'll kind of go through some details on that in just a minute, how much green space acreage wise in the site. As I mentioned, you can see the two access points. So we will be extending that Deer Road extension further to the west. And then there's a stub street in Harvest. So those are the two access points. We will not be utilizing Gallup Lane, which is the existing gravel drive access that accesses the property now. So we're proposing 3 different villages. So again, it's a master plan community with 3 of our product lines, 3 product lines that we've built in O'Fallon many times. These lot sizes and home types are currently being built in Harvest. These same lot sizes and similar homes will be built and are currently being sold in the Post Farms community. That's just directly north on the other side of Highway N. That was a PUD that was recently approved through the city in the last year. So we have 3 lot sizes, like I mentioned. The Arbor series, those are on 40-foot wide lots. Our Bayside series are on 52-foot wide lots, and our Move Up luxury product, those are on 60-foot wide lots, and we place those directly adjacent to Harvest to match similar homes and lot sizes within the Harvest community. You probably couldn't see it on this plan, but there is an amenity area up near that intersection of Deer Road and kind of the main entrance. So we are proposing some amenities in addition to the vast green space and common ground. This is just kind of a zoomed in area of that amenity area. So parking lot for the mail. So we'll have our mail kiosk there. We'll build a pavilion, playground, and parking spaces for those as well. So just to run through some stats and project features. So like I said, it's 94.15 acres. There's 3 distinct villages. We are proposing 276 single-family detached residential lots, 39.3 acres of common ground, which is over 40% of the property. Huge amount. I don't know that we've done a project in O'Fallon with that much common ground as a percentage of the overall property. Open space and amenities, like I said, buffers and landscaping. One thing I will point out with the buffers, currently in Harvest, there's a 20-foot common ground strip and buffer on the Harvest side of that property line, along that eastern property line. With this proposal, we have a 25-foot common ground strip on this property. So you add those together, that's 45 feet of common ground between backyard to backyard between the Harvest lots and these lots. So what are we going to be asking for? So currently this property is not in the city of O'Fallon, and it's in unincorporated St. Charles County, zoned A agricultural in the county. So we'll be seeking an annexation into the city, and we'll be seeking an R1 PUD. So I took this directly from city code. This is the PUD code section, so directly from the code, and these are the objectives of a PUD. And just to run through these quickly, I think we hit every single one of these. So to permit flexibility in site design, to achieve more efficient use of land, to encourage and permit provision of open space, to protect and preserve scenic assets and natural features and incorporate those into the development, foster a more stable community by providing a variety and balance of housing types, to encourage and permit a variety of location of buildings, roads, parking lots, and other facilities, to increase the safety of pedestrian vehicular traffic, and to reduce land costs per dwelling unit in residential development. So I believe we've checked all those boxes, and that's directly from that PUD code section. Just quickly to look at densities of some recently approved projects. So I mentioned Harvest, that's 3.43 units to the acre. Autumn Hollow, which is just west of that, that's a development in the county, is 5.03 units to the acre. Oakshire, another project in the county, is 4.63 units to the acre. Post Farms, which is in the city of O'Fallon on the north side of Highway N, is 2.96 units to the acre, and what we're proposing with the Gaballo Farms project is 2.93. So right in line and really under all of these recent developments in this area. I know traffic is always a question and concern with these developments along the Highway N corridor. I just pulled a couple recent updates off the county's website. So the upgrades are coming. At Hopewell and Dewello, there's a signal being proposed there, and that construction of that signal is slated to begin in the spring of 2026. Phase 1 of Hopewell Road. So Hopewell Road's currently a 2-lane road, minimal shoulders. It'll be widened, 11-foot lanes, turning lane, 5-foot shoulders. That is slated to be completed in this year, 2026, or be completed by the end of 2026. And then the big one that everybody's wondering when it'll happen are the Highway N improvements. So this was just posted. This is dated January 5th, released from St. Charles County, and just a couple quotes from it. So phase 1 of the Highway N improvements will be from all the way west to Ebert, which is just short of Highway Z. And then there's a mention in here that county executive is pushing for a 2027 groundbreaking. So those improvements, the counties put that on a fast track. They want to see that happen. So those improvements are coming. And that'd be so from it widen Highway N from three lanes in each direction, so 6 lanes total from Hawk Ridge to Summers, and then from there it's going to be 2 lanes each direction, so 4 lanes total out to Ebert Lane. So the homes that we're proposing, again, we've built these multiple times within the city, so I won't spend a lot of time talking about the product, but it's our Heritage, our Bayside, and our Oakwood series. Each one of those series has multiple floor plans, modern features, big kitchens, open space, walk-in closets, ranches, 1.5 stories, 2 stories, fully sodded yards, and so just some elevations again. The Heritage series has 5 different floor plans. Each one of those floor plans has multiple elevations, so you can see a mixture of design elements and materials. All 2-car garages. This is our Bayside series. We've built probably thousands of these in the city of O'Fallon. Bayside series has 10 different floor plans. Each floor plan again has multiple elevations. And then our Move Up Luxury series is our Oakwood series. Again, 7 different floor plans, ranch, 1.5 stories, 2-story. And again, each one of those floor plans, multiple elevations. And then just some pictures of some interiors. And I always like to mention our design studio in Chesterfield Valley. Every one of our buyers and every one of our communities comes to our award-winning design studio. They'll pick out their lot, their structural elements in the community, and then they'll come to our design studio and make the investment in their home that they want with all their finishes, from flooring, cabinets, countertops, backsplash, fixtures, everything. So it's really, we believe in the power of choice, and that buyer can invest as much as they want in that dream home of theirs. So that's all I have for tonight. Again, this is just the preview. We'll be back hopefully soon with our full-blown rezoning and annexation request. But I'm happy to answer any questions tonight.
Madam Chair.
Jeremy.
Go ahead.
276 homes,
Yes,
1 phase, 2 phase, 3 phase?
at least 3 phases. It'll be phased.
It will be
It
phased.
will be phased.
I can take your word for that.
You can take my word for that.
'Cause I don't want to go. I do not want to go through what we went through Harvest.
We will phase, not only will we phase the construction of the homes, we will be phasing the infrastructure as well.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Seymour?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Why? Why should this be? Why should we approve a PUD?
I think it's good for the city. I mean, you can see the success of Harvest to the east. There's demand for new housing. There's demand for affordable housing throughout St. Charles County. Harvest was a PUD. Post Farms was a PUD. Successful. It allows for the preservation of that open space and that green space and the natural features of the property, I think it's an excellent plan.
That's not really why what I base a PUD on. I base it more on what hardship is your property owner, McBride or whoever owns a property, into developing that property. How much of that property is non-developable?
Well, again,
If you've got floodplain running through 15 lots at least, I've already seen that. So you're going to have to work that around and get those lots out of the floodplain. But other than that, I don't see any real reason why we should give you a PUD on this.
I mean,
Because you said it's what you've been building all over O'Fallon, Lake St. Louis, Winsville. So I'm not talking about your product. I'm talking about your product has nothing to do with the PUD.
Yeah,
And a PUD should only be granted under certain conditions. And it's spelled out in our zoning book. Why? I know we used to give out a lot of PUDs, so many of them that we had to come together as a commission and the city and talk about it. And that's why we're discussing this right now, because PUDs got a little bit out of hand.
And it could be developed with straight zoning, but you wouldn't have this common ground. You'd have more infrastructure that would go to the city. You'd have more tree clearing, more grading, less open space, disturbance of natural waterways. So that what the PUDs it allows is the flexibility in the site design to preserve
It
those.
would also be more congruent with the local land that's in the county, the people that are on large lot subdivision with 3-acre lots. So, I mean, lot size has got a lot. Matter of fact, that's probably one of the most important things is lot size.
And again, going back to some of these aerials, you can see that there's no development around this property. We're bordered on by a Darting Creek on the south, and to the west is vacant residential.
Well, there's no track housing.
Vacant agricultural,
development.
I'm sorry.
Right, track housing. And development is okay. I don't have a problem with development. But we're talking about a PUD. We're having a PUD discussion.
Yep.
And that's what I'm trying to talk to you about.
And again, I'd go back to, from the code, all those bullet points of those objectives, and I think you can go down each one, and I think we checked the box for each one.
Well, I know McBride builds a good house. I've inspected a bunch of them over the years, okay? So I'm nothing against McBride, but I'm just talking PUD.
Yep.
And what requirements we as a commission have for a PUD. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Link.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What's your timeline?
I mean, if all of our approvals go smoothly, we'd like to break ground towards the end of this year and develop into next year and be building houses next summer of 27.
Any consideration to delay that for Highway N to widen and the Dyer Road reconstruction to complete?
Well, I could say these 276 houses won't be there overnight. So if we're starting building in 2027, this is going to be a multi-year build out. So it would be in time with those improvements on Highway N, if not following the improvements on Highway N. It'll be after the improvements on Hopewell, after the improvements at Hopewell and Duello.
So the reason I bring up a lot of those concerns, I live out there. I actually live in a McBride community. My old home there is McBride. It is a wonderful home. But if you head west on N right now from Hawk Ridge to Highway or Lake St. Louis Boulevard, you will spend 10 minutes going 2 miles. And I think every home we're building right now out that way contributes to that problem. We are way overbalanced in homes compared to the amount of infrastructure we have. So any delay, I think, in building homes out there helps things. Also, I don't know if you contribute to, state or county roads, but we really need to accelerate N before we start building more homes out west. And then what
It's
about
coming.
Dyer?
It's at the top of the list for the county, so it's coming.
Would you anticipate most people to take N to access this, or do you think more would use Dyer Road?
They're going to use Dyer, and either Dyer to Hopewell to N or Dyer all the way to Double D.
Thank you.
Commissioner Howard.
I'm sure, thank you. I'm not a big fan of PUDs. I've been that way since the start. But if you're going to bring this plan in, I'd like to see a lot of information about the growth that's going on outside of your area. I mean, there's so much activity in this area, you lose perspective sometimes. With road being upgraded, other subdivisions are being built that aren't even in the city. Have a perspective on where that is and what it's going to look like. And also some amenities. Hopewell has a ton of amenities. Some amenities we've never seen before. Orchards, gardens and stuff. So, I mean, I'm looking for, you got a high bar to get to.
Yeah, and we're proud of those harvest amenities, and that's a different animal with 900 homes. So we knew we wanted to develop top of the line amenities there. But I hear you. When we come back to present, we can focus on kind of the bigger picture of what's going on. There is a lot of growth and development and building going on in this area. And I think that's a testament to the city and St. Charles County and the desire of people to continue to move to the county and younger generation of homebuyers to want to stay in the county.
Thank you.
Commissioner Naga.
Thank you, Carolyn. Good afternoon, sir. Hey, could you go back a few frames where we have the project? We had the villages divided up right there, that one there?
Oh,
Yeah, so the green space you have in the middle there, is that all grass? Is it going to be trees? What are we going to have in the middle there?
It's mostly wooded. So that's almost all tree preservation through there. Because you can see the site there is heavily wooded.
All right. If no one else has any other questions or any other comments, then we'll go ahead and close this presentation and discussion.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank
Hope
you,
to see you soon.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the consent calendar, and we have nothing on there. So under all other items as they may arise, we have the city council update. David?
Yeah, we've had a few items that's been at council since our last meeting. One of those was approved. It was the senior housing project there in Mexico and Bryan. The council did approve that. We did find out just soon thereafter that they were trying to get the funding from the state that didn't come through. So they're going to be trying again next year. So that's, let's say, kind of on hold. We'll see what happens. And then the other two, the scooters and the Dobbs, that's been held over. It's on the council meeting next week. I haven't heard anything new on that, but it's on the council agenda next week for vote for second reading. So we'll see what happens with that.
All right. With that, we will adjourn the January 8th, 2026 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.